Hello and welcome to Thursday Thoughts. Thursday Thoughts? What on earth are they, I hear you ask? Well, my friend Lucy and I meet every week over on Instagram to talk all things personal growth because she is as obsessed with it as I am. And we decided that we might as well put those conversations out as a weekly podcast. So now you can listen to us chat here on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And we'll be talking about topics such as spirituality, limiting beliefs, the ego, imposter syndrome, gratitude, meditation, confidence, and so much more. So if you're ready, here we go. So we're going to talk about change. Well, I suppose there's so many sort of layers to change because it's a big part of this whole personal growth, self-development journey because really it's about, everything is about change. We're always changing and we're always evolving. And if we want to continue to grow. And I suppose there's two parts of this. There's change in the sense that, maybe you might recognize that there are some unhelpful behaviors which you have or some unhelpful things in your life which perhaps might be holding you back from becoming that person you kind of feel like you want to become, when you want to become that sort of aligned version of you. But then there's also the change in the way that if you want to, for example, if you know that you're not leading a life which is as healthy as perhaps you would like it to be, or then actually you can consciously make some changes along your way to actually help you get there. But we find change generally as a species really, really hard. And that is really, I think, because we're so programmed. We've been so programmed over the millennium to want to remain safe, to want to belong, to want to become, stay with, being safe. Any change, basically, I think, as we were surviving and as we were evolving, meant that things were changing and maybe becoming a little bit unsafe. And so our natural instinct was like, well, change is scary. Change might mean that I might be cast out of the tribe, or I might be eaten by a tiger, or, and if I don't change and I survive, then our kind of, our old part of our brain goes, oh, she didn't die. So let's keep doing that. Let's keep doing the same thing again and again. So in a way, we're wired to just carry on doing what feels good, what feels comfortable. And actually, when we change anything, it's that sort of feeling of uncomfortableness again. And it makes us go, oh, God, and it's actually our subconscious mind, it's our subconscious, unconscious, which is kind of pulling us back into that comfort. So in order to actually make those changes, we need to treat that part of ourselves with lots of love, lots of compassion, and recognize it, and maybe start to question that part of, some of those unhelpful behaviors that we're doing or we're experiencing, and just sort of, almost ask the question, what's the need there? Why am I doing that? What is the need? There is a need for that behavior. So, alcohol's a big one for me. I've always enjoyed a drink. And there was a period of my life where I would really properly binge drink most weekends, and it's part of our culture, it's what we've always done. And, and I still do enjoy a drink, but I'm more and more, it's like now I question it. Like, what's the need? Why am I doing this? What am I trying? And it's all about kind of it's kind of, there's a feeling there, which I'm trying to either numb, or I'm trying to, it's kind of like there's something there. So it's almost like trying to get underneath it and wonder why is that behavior such a part of it? And actually, in order to change it, you can start to question why am I doing it? What's the need? And can you give that part of you, that need, what it actually needs when it's actually with not such an unhelpful behavior, treating it with love and compassion. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I totally hear you. And just going back to what you were saying about sort of evolution and how we are essentially wired to not want to change, because the way to stay safe is to stay familiar. And actually, you said something just now. You said, we want to stay comfortable. We want to feel comfortable. We want to feel good. But actually, I would say that I think part of the problem sometimes with just humans in general, myself included, is the fact that we would rather stay comfortable than be uncomfortable in order to feel good.
Yeah.
Is because so often we're living lives that don't necessarily feel that good, but because they're familiar and because they're comfortable, we remain exactly the same because we're afraid to change, because change means that we've got to get uncomfortable. But the problem is that, well, not necessarily the problem, but the issue is that the only way to evolve and grow and, make your life better, i.e., change, is to get used to that feeling of discomfort. I think it's just, and also it's like, it can, obviously we're coming at this from a kind of a personal growth perspective, and changing our own behaviors and changing the way that we are and changing the way that we're being. But it's with any kind of change, isn't it? Whether you're moving or whether you're changing jobs or whether there's some big kind of life change, whatever that may be. And I don't know anyone who really really loves change, but again, it's because we are wired to want to stay the same in as much as it feels comfortable, even if it doesn't actually feel good.
Yeah.
But feels better than the discomfort that can then lead to something better. But we resist it because we don't want to feel uncomfortable. And I think that one of the main things that we all need to kind of learn to embrace more is that feeling of discomfort, because you cannot and you will not change your life if you cannot tolerate feeling discomfort. But I think we're all a bit scared of feeling uncomfortable. We all like to feel comfortable and remain in our comfort zones all the time, and we resist getting out of our comfort zones. But it's on the other side of our comfort zones that all the great things happen. So I think we just need to learn to embrace change and embrace the discomfort that comes with it, because only by doing that are we gonna move forward with our lives and make a positive change. And actually, I think at the end of the day, one of the only constant things in this life, one of the only things that we can actually guarantee we can rely on, is change.
Yeah.
Because nothing stays the same. Everything changes all the time. The world is constantly changing, people are constantly changing, circumstances are constantly changing. So it seems crazy that we've all developed this fear of change and this kind of resistance to change, because it really is one of the only things that we can guarantee for damn sure that is going to happen in life is change, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is so right. It's totally crazy. It's a complete oxymoron, isn't it? We're so scared of it, and yet it is constantly happening. Yeah, no, you're so right. Actually, to pick up on that, it's not change. Doesn't necessarily resisting change isn't to feel good. It's to feel comfortable. Feeling good is on the other side. It's often the resisting of a change is because we're numbing out, or it just feels easier, I think, is the thing, isn't it? So in order then if we want to make change, it's about kind of almost tricking that part of our brains to overcome that resistance that we feel towards it. And that there are so many things we can do for that. I mean, firstly, it's really about questioning the intent of some of our actions. It's like it really is. It's kind of like as I said before, but also, you've just got to do small things. You can't just suddenly change everything all in one go. In order to sort of trick that resistance, you've got to just take small chunks and small steps. And that way you can kind of ease into it. You can just go, it's like that typical thing at New Year's Eve when everyone's like, right. I'm going to make all these changes and I'm going to be the new me. And it never bloody works, because everyone just does too much too quickly, and we then fall straight back. We get pulled back into our old patterns. So we've got to just be kind to ourselves, take small steps, and just really celebrate all of those little changes that we can make along the way. And I think we're very bad often at looking back and going, oh my goodness, look how far I've come. I know I'm terrible at this, but I think it's so good for all of us sometimes just to take a look back, even when we don't feel like we're making a huge, leaps and bounds forwards. But actually, you are, those small steps. It's that typical thing, if you steer a plane just 1 degree in a different direction, you're going to end up somewhere totally different. So you've just got to keep taking those small steps, look back at where you've come and celebrate and go, yes, this is great. I can make changes. And, you know, another big thing which we talk about a lot on this podcast, it's funny, isn't it, how all the same themes just come up again and again and all these things that we talk about. But, you know, it's about getting that accountability. 95% more likely you are to achieve a goal if you actually have an accountability buddy, someone to support you, you make an appointment with. It's so much easier. And when you start to make those small changes and you start to notice how it's making you feel, that is going to just spur you on and drive you forward. And that's then what builds that momentum,
Yeah.
you know, and then that momentum then builds the motivation, which we've obviously talked about before. You know, it's all about those small actions forward.
Completely. And just going back to the accountability thing, I mean, if you look at you and I, we're really each other's accountability buddies in a lot of ways.
Oh God, yes.
You know, but we really are. And I think this is what people kind of need to realize. You need to find that person. Like if you're trying to make, you know, there's obviously a difference here, just to clarify, between changes happening in your life, like you get fired and you have to find a new job, or changes that you're trying to make in yourself and in your life, which I think is more what we're talking about here. But so, you know, with you and I, it's made a huge difference, certainly to my life, to have you on the end of the phone or on the end of the Zoom, because both of us are, you know, going down a similar path. We both have a podcast, we're both setting up setting up our own businesses and trying to make that work and all the rest of it. And there are so many things, and this is we are proof that accountability works, because if I hadn't had you to talk to for the last couple of years or whatever it is, I would have I would have done things, I think, so much more slowly, or I would have talked myself out of things, or I would not have done things. But because you and I kind of spur each other on to do those things that scare us and do those things that make us feel uncomfortable, it makes all the difference. So, you know, like you say, it's not like 95%, you're 95% more likely to make a change if you have accountability. And you and I are a classic example of that. And just knowing that we're on the other end of the phone from each other to, you know, I mean, how many times have we phoned each other up feeling worried about something or scared about something or unsure about something, and it's talking to each other that has kept us accountable, essentially. And actually, this is going off on a bit of a tangent, but it's, you know, all part and parcel of the same thing. You know, having the people that you surround yourself with is so incredibly important. And I've realized what it does is, because when you are spending your time talking to somebody who is going in the same direction as you, and who is also trying to evolve and also trying to grow and also trying to make their lives better, that is everything. If you're only hanging around with people who are not interested in making changes and who are staying in exactly the same place, then you will stay there too. So I really think you cannot underestimate the importance of who you are spending time with. And that isn't to say that you can't still be friends with people who aren't making big changes in their life or aren't necessarily doing anything different or whatever. It doesn't mean that, but it means that you want to spend more of your time in the company of people who are where you are, either on, you know, going where you want to go, or are already there. And actually, I think there's a lot to say for trying to and you know, we've talked, I think have we done a Monday motivation on the people you surround yourself with? I don't think we have. We should totally do that. I
don't think we have. I think we did something on what you consume.
So yeah, we've talked about it in that, haven't we? But I really think that the people thing is actually certainly one of the biggest, if not the biggest thing to really be mindful of. Because yeah, I mean, it's if you what you can do is, you can, if you're trying to make a change, or if you're trying to do something with your life that you haven't done before, that feels really uncomfortable, you know, if you don't have a Lucy or a Polly, you can find people online who have got to the place where you're trying to get to, and just follow them and listen to their podcasts and watch interviews of them and follow them on Instagram, because that makes a really big difference. It doesn't necessarily have to be the person that you're in the room with all day, every day, who is giving you that accountability. It can be people who you're just following, who you find inspiring, who can also help massively in making changes. And I've certainly found in the last few years that the people that I follow, the people whose podcasts I listen to, you know, the likes of you, they have made all the difference in the things that I've been able to change and the things that I haven't. I mean, it's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it's about kind of almost then being able to see what is possible and what, you know, who you could become. You know, I think so many of us think our identity is fixed to how it is right now, but that is absolute bollocks. I don't believe that at all, because you can change your identity to exactly who you want to become. You know, identity purely is your thought. It starts really from your actions to your behaviors to your thoughts and your feelings. All of that creates your identity. So if we start thinking different thoughts, it's going to have an impact on our feelings and our actions, and then we can craft ourselves into the identity that we want. And this, I think, is a massive part of getting change, you know, and letting it happen for you, is to really visualize, you know, what is it you want. And this is only obviously if you're not happy with your current situation, or if you want to evolve and if you want to grow. If you are at a point where you're like, no, I don't want to change, I'm really happy with who I am, and this is great, then this obviously isn't for you. This isn't for you. But if you're at a point where it's like, no, I feel inside me that there's more. I feel there's more for me to go do and more for me to grow into, and, you know, which is what I know you and I both have constantly. It's like there's definitely more, and I feel I've got layers to shed to become truly who I am. Then you can really start to embody that and visualize that, and that's going to really help you feel into this version of you, this new identity. And it kind of gives your body and your mind somewhere to aim for, and you're kind of halfway there if you start to feel it, embody it, you know. And just visualizing that is such a powerful way to go, because it's almost like, right, the vision's there, now all you've got to do is just move closer and closer towards it by aligning your actions towards that vision. A very quick break to ask you to hit the follow or subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you're enjoying this episode, I'd be super grateful if you could hit those stars and rate it too. Thank you.
Completely. And I mean, I couldn't agree more. And the thing about visualization is that, you know, that is part of the way that we change the neural pathways in our brain. Yeah. Like, visualizing is one of the best ways, you know, visualizing whilst you're in a meditation or in breath work, whatever it may be, visualizing what, you know, the future version of us is one of the ways that we can literally change our personality and therefore change our personal reality. Because by visualizing what it is that we want, our brain becomes familiar with the what that looks like and how that feels. And it's like, I mean, God, this is me trying to talk about neuroscience, which, you know, I'm clearly not. But in very, very basic terms, what happens is that when you're focusing on your future self and where you want to go and the changes that you want to make and the changes that you want to make in yourself and who you want to become, when you visualize that on a regular basis, your brain becomes really fucking familiar with it, and therefore it starts to seek out the things that are going to help you get there. And that's the way that it works. It's like the reticular activating system, isn't it? If you think about a red car, you're going to see a shitload of red cars on the road. If you think about a green car, you're suddenly going to see loads of green cars. Well, if you're thinking about an opportunity, if you're thinking about a new life, if you're thinking about you want to do this or you want to do that, or you want to make that change, this change or that change, then your brain is going to start looking for ways for you to do that, because that is what our brains do. And in exactly the same way as when we're sitting at home going, oh my God, the world is so shit, oh, it's dog eat dog out there, everything's really crap. Guess what our brain's going to find? More of the crap. It's where you place your focus, isn't it?
Yeah.
As you know.
Where your attention goes, energy flows. Exactly. You've got to, it's all about where you put your focus.
Yeah.
So some simple tips people to do is visualize. Absolutely visualize who you want to be. And it's actually a really lovely thing. You can do a meditation, you can do some breath work, and really then drop in, get quiet, and just try and feel into that person you want to be. You know, really turn up the colors, make it bold and bright and beautiful, and feel into that version. And I promise you, it feels so good, and it really then makes you realize that it's actually not that far away. You can do it. And then when you feel like that at certain points in your day, you kind of like, oh my gosh, this actually feels a little bit familiar, because I've visualized this. It's that familiarity thing again. So that's a really good thing. Small steps, you know, whatever, it's a new action or whatever, you've got to just start small and celebrate, build that sort of those patterns. It's just like building those patterns, making them become more familiar habits, getting that support, getting that accountability. What else? I'm just trying to think what else we can do to really help with change.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you just said it really, but it's baby steps. And I think one of the things that holds us back from making changes in our lives is it always feels really overwhelming, and therefore we get to the point where we're just like, you know what, it's too big, it's too hard, it's going to take too long, therefore I'm just not going to bother doing it. And we have to realize that if we want to make changes in our lives in order to improve our lives, we have got to get over that.
Yeah.
And we start thinking, and I always say to myself and other people, the time is going to pass anyway. That, you know, a year from now is going to come anyway. So either you sit here and go, oh, it's just too much work, it's just going to take ages, I just haven't got the energy, I'm going to go and watch Netflix again instead. Or you go, I'm going to do this one thing every day for half an hour. I'm going to work on this thing to move me towards the direction I want to go in, and then in a year's time you're going to be a year further along. Yeah. And the time is going to pass anyway. So I think we need to, it's all too easy to just succumb to that overwhelm and that kind of like just feeling like it's too hard and it's, you know, it's going to take too long. But like I say, the time is going to pass anyway. So what are we going to do? If, you know, 5 years is going to pass anyway, so where do you want to be in 5 years? Do you want to be where you are now, or do you want to be somewhere better in 5 years? Because if you want to be, you can be somewhere better in 5 years, but you've got to start making those changes. And I think it's partly to do with like patience. I've realized, I think I have always been quite patient, and I've realized that, you know, it's that expression, good things come to those who wait. And if you can allow yourself to be patient and just be happy with taking a tiny little step every single day, that is the way to do it. And just know that it's coming somewhere down the line. It doesn't matter when, it doesn't matter how, but if you just continue to, you know, like visualize, meditate, do those tiny little actions every day, and you'll be amazed where you might be in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. But don't let that overwhelm of it's too hard, it's going to take too long, don't let that stop you, because the time is going to pass anyway.
And also, let's not forget that we've all successfully managed so much change in our lives as it is. I mean, Felix, my eldest, is off to uni at the weekend, which I'm feeling a bit nervous and wobbly about, but he's going to be fine. But he said to me yesterday, actually, you know, I'm kind of looking forward to it, but at the same time I'm very sad that this part of my life is going to change, because he said, I love, you know, I don't feel like I need any more friends, I don't feel like I want any, because he's having such a lovely life. And so part of him is kind of that, it's that fear of like, I don't want this bit to change because it's all so great. But then I was just like, well, Felix, you know, you're going to keep those friends, but it's just you're going to the next chapter and you're going to create, you know, there will be more friends. But he's sort of feeling that sort of resistance of like, I like it as it is. But he'll go, I know he's going to be absolutely fine. He's going to be fine. But we've all done it. We've started new schools, we've started new jobs, we've been, whatever we've done in our lives, there have been those moments where it does feel a bit like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm ready for this, but we do it anyway. And so we know that then, give it a few days, a week, a month, it feels like you've always been there. So it's the idea of it, which is the scary thing. But we know that we can all do it because we've all done it forever.
Yeah, that's so true. And again, going back to what we were saying earlier, which is the one constant thing in life is change. So we might as well learn to embrace it. And it so often is the thought of it far more than the reality of it. The thought of change is often worse than the actual change. And like you say, once you actually make that change, we all, we always land on our feet, So, well, on that note, we've pretty much done our half an hour.
Well done. We did it. You did it, even if a bit tired.
We literally, just so everybody knows, we literally decided to do this topic about an hour ago, and so we've literally just come on with absolutely no preparation whatsoever.
We never do, though.
I know.
We literally decide an hour before, and it's like, right, let's do it. But we always find something to talk about.
Somehow we always manage to fill the half an hour pretty much, but it's 27 minutes past, so we can give ourselves 3 minutes grace.
Perfect. Cool. Well done. Thank you. I'll see you in a bit for breath work.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.